There's a lot of fear out there right now. Are Ottawa house prices about to crash in 2026? Well, today we're separating real data from hype, and I'll tell you what the market is actually showing today. Why does this matter? If you're buying, selling, or planning a move in 2026, this video could save you tens of thousands of dollars. And, and I'm basing this on trends, not headlines, and I'll give you a clear, practical insight. So first things first, what do people mean by a crash? So let's define crash. A sharp, sudden drop in prices, which is triggered by economic shock. Let's say like 2008. Let's clarify what Ottawa has been doing recently. Price corrections versus price crashes. Normal market adjustments that have been happening in the day-to-day life. So that is, we're far away from a crash, but are we seeing price corrections? Absolutely. So let's take a look at the recent Ottawa price history.
So these next three graphs is going through the sold listings, average price on residential and condo, and you can see the differences between all three.
So key factors that could push prices down. You know, Interest rates is one, higher borrowing costs, reduced buying power. But does it seem like we're going to get higher interest rates anytime soon? It really doesn't feel like it, and most experts are predicting the opposite. But rates are actually, they are stabilizing, trending in a particular direction. Another one is supply and inventory. Most listings usually put pressure on prices. Um, Buyer demand, is kind of getting back there. A lot of people did take the last 6 months off and didn't shop for a house, whereas now it's kind of starting to pick up earlier than ever. Um, there are some external economic risks, though. Bank of Canada policy shifts, there's the global economic slowdown and mortgage stress test changes. So let's see what happens with the mortgage stress test changes. There might be some good news on that, but we can't control the overall global economy, which is in a rough patch to say the least. Now, why is a big crash in Ottawa unlikely? We do have a very diverse local economy, so we have tons of federal jobs. I know a lot of layoffs are happening, but that's kind of everywhere, and it's even worse in some areas. We also have good tech and service sectors. We have a huge, very stable population demand, and Ottawa continues to grow. Newer arrivals need housing, and we have a lack of speculative bubble, right? So prices driven by fundamentals, not leveraged by flip investors. So we do have a lot of local stuff happening as well. And there's also like strategic buyer behavior, buyers adjusting to expectations. Not all markets behave the same, right? So it's very different from Toronto and very different from Vancouver. So you got to be really looking in Ottawa to know what's happening here. And Ottawa is very different than even the GTA, not just Toronto, um, where prices may move. So scenario one, there might be a mild adjustment. Prices flatten or dip slightly. Buyers take advantage, and prices start slowly back up, right? Let's take a look at scenario B. So market stabilization. So let's say prices stay steady, movement in specific niches. So like let's say there's some movement in the condo areas and single family homes. So probably condos are going to drop down a little bit. Single families maybe go up a little bit, and then also to localized softening. So it's not crashing. So like let's say the suburbs are slowly softening. The prices are releasing the pressure, but the inner city is still maintaining the value. So let's take a look. Is that really a crash or is that more of a price softening? I think it's more of a price softening. And I find it unlikely that we're going to drop to 300,000 over the next 6 to 12 months. Now, what should buyers do? Obviously, I beat this like a drum. It's get pre-approved with true mortgage comforts. So you want to know exactly what you can buy, what a house is going to cost you, how much your bills are going to be, and all that stuff. And then focus on long-term value. There's like don't bet on short-term price increases. Like if you're gonna buy a house for 600,000 today and you're hoping that it's gonna be worth 750 in 3 years, forget about that altogether. Another one is you want to work with an agent that it knows the market that you're dealing in. So if you're working with an agent that's familiar with your area and knows it inside and out, that's your first good step. What should sellers do? Price for competition and not fear. So present your homes professionally, be ultra perfect when your home comes to presentation. Don't hold out on unrealistic high expectations and understand your segmented demand. So if you're in the suburbs, understand that there is more choice. If you're in the city, price appropriately so you get the right demand so that everybody is interested in your property. Realistic timeline and expectations. Market changes, market changes don't happen overnight, and we have to watch the market closely to see what's going to happen. But typically, you see a ripple effect. So whenever there's something that happens now, it's going to affect it over the next 3 months. If a crash were coming, we'd see early signs before prices break it, before prices even break down. Now, my final takeaway is, a full-blown crash in Ottawa is highly unlikely in 2026 based on the current economic drivers and demand fundamentals. Some price adjustments are possible, and I will agree that there will be some price adjustments in certain areas, but that's not a crash. That is more of a price correction. And what do you do with this information matters more than the headline, right? So what area are you looking in? Are you seeing the prices soften, and or are you seeing the prices rise in that area? So you want to be proactively looking at what's happening in that area and keeping a close eye on it on when you plan to make your decision. Now, if you like this video, comment below. Are you buying or selling in 2026? If you want my latest Ottawa market forecast, comment forecast, and I'll send it to you. Subscribe for more Ottawa real estate insights and like the video and follow for more. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much and have a great day.